Welcome guys, I'm Gio here, and this is the third video in a series about functional programming in JavaScript. In this series we take a very practical approach. We explore the different functions from Ramda.JS library, and right now we are about to explore one very useful function. It allows us to define transformations, data transformations from one state into another in a declarative way by using abstraction and composition. And yeah, it's very useful. So let's jump into code editor and start coding. Okay guys, here we have the list of video game characters again, but this time we also have achievements property for each character. And this is just an array of strings, and it represents the achievements of a given character. So what is our challenge now? So we have to get the new list from our given list from this array, where each item in this list should look like this. It will be an object, and for every object we will have a character property, and it will be the name of a given character, and also we will have a rank, and rank will be the number of achievements for a given character. So we have to get this new list, and for this we will explore some new functions, but first let's go in iterations and write some very simple solution, a very traditional one. Okay, let's create transformed here, and let's use map function again. Here I will pass in some simple arrow function. I will receive the item, and then I want to return a new object for a given character, and this object will have character property. It will be just item name, and the rank property will be item achievements length. So we get the rank by the size of given achievements array. So let's log this and see that it's working as expected. And yeah, here we go. We have the list of characters, and we have ranks for each character, and this name that is represented by character property, and it looks good, and there's nothing wrong here. But now let's try to achieve the same thing in a more functional way, and let's use the Ramda.JS library for that. But before I go any further, and before we explore different solutions, let's think about this, what we want to achieve here, because what we really are going to change is this part, is this transforming function. Now we have to think about how can we define this transformation in a more functional way. How can we break this down into simple steps? So let's think about the item. Let's say we have given some item that has the following structure. How do we want to define this transformation? Let's define it in a simple English terms. Okay, we want to for each item we want to generate a new object, and each new object should have a character property and rank property. That's how it should look like. Now, how should we get this character, given the item? Well, let's write it in a simple English. We have item, and then we have to get name from a given item. That's how we can define this, define this property. Well, how can we, define the rank? How can we generate the rank property given this item? Well, we take the item, we get the achievements, and then for achievements we just get the length. So it is, as you see, it is already broken down into some simple steps. So if you look at this, it's very clear. Okay, we will generate a new object. It has a character and rank property, and that's how it will be generated. Now this is, there are many steps involved already here, and I'm sure you've already guessed that we right now are going to first generate functions to extract this character and rank properties from given item. So let's start our iteration number 2, and first let's define our function to generate this character property. So how we extract its value? It is actually very simple, and we have already used it in our previous videos. Let's call it getName, and here we will just use prop function from Ramda.JS, and we will just take the name. Remember that we are not providing all the arguments to prop function, so it is generating a new function. So this getName is just a simple function, nothing else. So let's comment this. And now let's generate the rank function and call it rank, get rank, so we can get the rank from given item. And let's check this. How can we do this? Well, we can use the pipe function, and inside this pipe function we can use a prop function. Again, we can chain the operations. First we get the achievements, and then there is a length function in Ramda.js that is going to return the length for given list. So first item goes in there, then we get achievements from this, and then we use our length function to retrieve this. So let's try to rewrite this now using only these functions. Let's create this transformed, and let's use the map again, just a simple map. Let's use this item, that's our arrow function. Let's generate this object, and the character will be getName from item, and rank will be getRank from given item. Okay, let's check this, and yes, it is working. It is working as expected. We have generated the given list, the list that we wanted, but this time we have used the functions that are generated using Ramda.js. So now if you look at this, it is more clear. Even though it's a simple example here, we have this character and we say okay, get name, and we can just check the get name definition, and it's very easy to read. Same for rank, we say okay, get rank for this given item. But as you see right now, we have this item, and then we are just passing this item to our functions, to our transforming functions. And is there any way to actually eliminate this and express this transformation in a more declarative way? Well, it is possible to do that. Let's comment this out, and let's start our iteration number 3, and I will just copy this, and I will just expand this example. So here the definition, the transforming definition, was described by plain English, and for each, for given the item, we have defined our transformation. Now we can replace this part, because we already have get name there, and we also have the get rank there. So we got the rank, and now can we express this? Can we express this this here in a more declarative way? Can we do this? And yes, we can do it. Now let's use a special function, and it is inside this library. It is called applySpec. Now this applySpec function expects the schema of transformation. So what it looks like. So first we define this schema of how we want to transform given value. And in our case, for a new value that we want to generate, we want to have character property, and also we want to have a rank property for our new object. Now the question is, how do we want to generate this character property? Well, we already have answer for that. it is just a getName function. For character property, we should use getName function to generate this property. For rank, we can just use getRank function. Now another argument after this, we can pass in the value. We can pass in the value and it will generate this new object. So let's look at this. Let's call this function to character, and let's test this function. Now if I pass in now let's log something here. Now if I call this function with any object from our array, let's call it with this given object, it will just transform it. Oops, sorry, I've missed that. I need to copy this and uncomment the getName and getRank. And yeah, here we have it. We've got this new object. So this applySpec function will generate a new function, a new transforming function. And by this applySpec function, we define how do we want to transform given value. In this case, this object here. So this is defined by giving an object where we describe what properties we want to have and how we want to get these values, how we want to generate these properties. And it's a very simple. If we look at this, it's very easy to read, we have just defined all of this, this item, character is item.name, achievements length, all of that. We have just defined in terms of simple functions. Now let's use this, function to generate a new function and call it extract characters. And let's use map function from Ramda.JS and pass in two character function. So let's now define our transformed variable by calling extract characters for our given data. And as you see, it is working as expected. Now let's compare our solutions. If you look at this, this is our first, the first solution, our first code looks much simpler, in a way, and it's shorter. But but our last solution, our iteration number 3, looks more readable, and it is really defined in terms of very small, tiny functions, and it's really good. Especially this applySpec function. Here we have the getName, we have the getRank, and we define how we want to make this transformation. And again, all of these things and all of the functions are separated from the actual data, and they can be used separately, and they are also unaware of each other. Let's say getName and getRank. Two character is defined in terms of other functions, and so we have used abstraction and composition again, like we did in previous example. So let's look at this function again, and let's talk more about the applySpec. So this applySpec function from library generates a function, a transforming function, that will transform a given value that we will pass in by defining the rules that we pass in. So how do we define these transforming rules? Well, it's easy. We pass in the object, this object, and in this object we define the properties that we want to have on transformed data, on transformed object. Well, how do we generate the actual values for given properties? Well, we pass in the functions. We can pass in our custom functions, we can pass in any function that will receive the value that we want to transform. And then this function will extract the exact value we want to assign to a certain property. And it is declared, it is described and expressed in a very declarative way. So now besides this, there are other benefits as well. So now let's imagine we have this scenario here. let's say for some reason we have a fake character in entry, this entry doesn't have title and achievements. And let's see how our solutions, both our last solution and first solution, react to this change and how robust they are. Let's look at this. Let's look at our first one right now. Let's run this, and we have error. Why? Because achievements is not defined, and of course it will give us the error. So let's use this trick here. If item achievements is defined and we have this, then we can extract this property. So right now we have removed the error, but it reduced the readability because now we have this expression here to guard against this case where there is no achievements array available. So let's look at our last solution, our iteration number 3, and see how it will react to it. Okay, let's clear this, run again, and well, it's actually working. It doesn't even generate the error, and it's very robust. It's just got that rank is not a number, because well, the achievements array wasn't even defined. So the first obvious benefit here is that we don't get the error. It is much more robust. Even though we have this rank and it's a nan, not a number, we haven't got the error. We don't have runtime error, and that is already good. It's already better. Now, how can we remove this? If it is nan or undefined or something, let's say we don't have the achievements array defined, we want to display just 0, maybe because there are no achievements. Well, it's actually very easy, and we have to extend getRank function. We will just add the previous function, our useful function called default2. It was explored in a previous video, and let's adjust this so it looks better. And we want to default to if length is undefined or if length is none or null, we just want to default to 0. And let's clear it, run again, and of course we have 0 here. And nothing else changed. It is the same. We have just extended this function and we have used default2. While in this case, in our first solution, readability is reduced. Let's say that also in this list we have null, just null. For some reason we got this, maybe from backend or something, and it is just null. Okay, how should we react to that? How should our solutions react to that? Let's check this again. Let's clear this, run it, and well, we have error. The item is null, and of course it will throw the error because item is null, and then we try to get the name. Well, we can add some check here, clear this, run again. Oh well, now we have another error, and it says cannot read property achievements of null, and of course it is not working, so we have to add another check. In this case, let's clear this, run again. Now let's look at our final solution and see how it will react. Let's clear this, run again, and yeah, we are getting the name, and it says cannot read a property name of null. Well, we can use a pipe function. So here we are getting the name, the errors that we try to get the name of null. And when we actually process this list here to extract the characters, initially, first we can filter out all the values that are, let's say, none or undefined or maybe none. So we can throw out the values that we're not interested in and cause some trouble. So for this, let's extend this extract characters function. Let's use the pipe function again. So we need to chain a certain operations right now. And in this pipe function, the first step is to remove the objects, the values that are null, undefined, or none. So how can we do this? We can actually use the filter function, and we have to use the filter function. So first we want to filter in, we have to pass in the function, maybe a row function or something here in this filter that returns the true when we want to keep this item in the array. So what items do we want to keep in the array? All the items that are not null, or maybe undefined, or none. So if it's any of these values that we want it to throw out of the list. So now we have to pass in this function. Now let's define another function. And call it let's call this function is value defined. So this function will return true if given value is defined, meaning it's not null or undefined or none. And how can we define this? Well, we can actually use the pipe again, and that's the beauty of it. And we want to do this check. There is actually a function in Ramda.JS. It is called isNil, and this function will return true if given value is nil, it is null, undefined, or none. And we want to take the reverse of that by assigning not. So we have generated a new function, and this one will return true whenever we pass in a value that is not null, undefined, or none. So let's test this real quick. Let's comment this as well, and let's check our function, and let's log is value defined, and let's pass in null. Oh well, it has returned false. Let's pass in undefined. It is false again. Let's pass in some string. Well, it is true. And it is working, and now we can use this function. There is another way of defining isValueDefined function, and I'm going to show you that way as well. isValueDefined. So this function is called complement, and in this we should pass the function that we want to reverse. In this case it is isNil. So what this expression will do is complement will generate a new function that will reverse the result of given function. So if something is nil, it will return, and is nil results to true, it will result to false. It will reverse and it will be false, and vice versa. So this is a more compact way of defining this function, even though this pipe version is still really good. Oh well, it is true. If I pass in null, it is false, and it is good. So we can clear this, and we have this isValueDefined function. Now we can use this. Function in our list. And in filter function, we want to pass in isValueDefined. So we only want to keep the items, from our data array if they are defined, meaning they are not null or none or undefined. And now let's run this again, and of course it is working. And we get, we have removed this, and it's not even in the list, and it makes no more trouble. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends.